Hey everyone, it's Dr. Yam. Hope everyone is doing well tonight. We're going to step right into today's session. For those of you who do not know me, I am Dr. Yam, your Keep It Simple coach, and I am the host of the Busy 9 to 5ers Hive inside of Facebook community. And you can visit us there if you'd like over in our space. Head on over to busy9to5ershive.com for aspiring business owners who want to transition and transform themselves from employee to entrepreneurs. So today in our Wisdom Wednesday, I'm going to focus on your name, not your name, but the name you will call your business and why it's important for you to consider these 10 things as you embark on your business journey. A name is your calling card. So you do want to make sure that you put some really thoughtful time into this process is important because it's going to carry a long way. It's kind of like a marriage, right? It's kind of like you've got to be able to commit. Once you put it to ink, it's your baby. Now, yes, you can change your name, but do understand if you rebrand and if you change your name, just like it is when you change your name from single to married, you got to go fill out all this paperwork and you got to tell everybody who you are now. It's the same thing. So you want to kind of just be mindful of what that is. So what I wanted to do for you guys today is I want to give you 10 things to ask yourself when it comes to putting a name to your business. Now, this is absent and apart from your personal brand. And what I mean by that, I typically tell people you carry your personal brand, which is your name and what you do and say behind it. And then there's the business brand, which could be one and the same for a lot of you. But for many others, there's more something beyond your name that will be the signature to your business enterprise. And so I wanted to go through, kind of like I said, 10 things that you really need to think about as you are embarking on this. Now, if you haven't already done so, do make sure that you have gotten your starter kit. So for those of you who are inside of the Facebook group community, you have access to a discount code that's already inside for you if you look inside of the thread and up in the features section. So you do have that. For those of you who aren't part of my community, you still have access to this tool. I'm going to go ahead and pop it here. And essentially the starter kit does takes you through your 4 key components of starting your business: doing your LLC, getting your government ID, having your business bank account, and then getting your domain, all of which require a business name. Get it? All right, so let's get busy. So let's talk about first thing that you want to consider when you are choosing a name for your business is, does the name communicate what your business does? So, when you're starting this process of choosing a name for your business, you should think in terms of communicating what exactly your business is or does. So, for example, if you have a hardware store, you might want to include the word tools or hardware to the business name, actually, or some type of subtitle to it, right? Because again, it has clarity around what does the business do. So how you can communicate that in that very simple sentence. All right. So that's one idea. Another thing, oh, hold on a second. I see somebody coming through. Okay. Another thing to consider is, hold on. All right. Sorry, my screen's going on. Okay. All right, sorry, comes coming through. So that's ideal. So again, you might want to consider how that same name is going to communicate who you are or what you do, right? Another thing to think about too is avoid hard to spell names. Don't get so creative that people aren't going to be able to pronounce it or spell it. Okay. For instance, there's just been this trend, right, of mushing names together so that or taking out a verb, those types of keep it simple. Okay. Like, okay, yeah, well, a Flickr didn't, it published and it worked out well for them, but you want to avoid having any kind of continual misspelling versions of your name because then when it comes down to getting your domain and things like that, it's counterproductive. So try not to be too cute. Keep it simple. Avoid hard to spell names. All right. What's my next one for you? Have you looked at the competition? So again, we want to be mindful of the fact that yes, imitation is the form of, flattery, but at the same time, you don't want to be so close in the name with your competition that it looks like you were obviously copying, right? You don't want to come that close. So do some research. The people who have a similar business model as you or who are servicing similar clients that you intend to serve, what are they calling themselves? And just make sure that there's enough of a differentiator in the name alone, right? Because you don't want to be considered like part two or like you're the branch of another person's business. That's not going to work in your favor. So again, check all the elements when it comes down to the other in your competition and tweak it, make it your own. Now, something else to avoid, and this goes for my local business people who are very localized in their business franchise. They're going to have maybe a brick and mortar. You want to avoid um, keeping your name. You may want to keep your name local if you know for sure that that's going to work in your favor. And when it comes to your revenue, then you may choose to like move to a different community or open up another branch. So optimize, maybe include, in some cases, including an element of your locality in your business name may be possible. Again, it lets people know just how local you are. But also, though, keep in mind that that's very committing from a geographic location. So then that name work someplace else? So you just have to, those again, something to consider. I think that was number 3. We're on number 3. Somebody keep track for me. All right. Think about the future. And what I mean by this too is sometimes we get caught up in trends and we do things like those mashups, and the mashups might have worked again for its time. But if it relies so heavily on something that's going to be very either date centric, then is it going to will it lean into and survive later down the line and be able to be just as attractive of a name 5 and 10 years from now? So again, keeping it simple if you're going to have it from a locale standpoint, and then trying not to go too far into those kind of buzzwords and those trendy words. Those are things you kind of want to avoid. So keep that in mind. Think about your future, and will this sustain time as a measure? Okay, that was 4. Here's number 5. Let's see, where's my list? In this case, too, will the name convey some type of a meaning? So ideally, you want your name to be conveying something meaningful and positive. You certainly don't want to go down the negative route, right? Related to your business. So can people instantly get what your business is about? So when you have, kind of oddball names like Google, like no one knew what Google was. Google had to prove itself and it carried down its name. Yahoo was the same thing. Although I kind of got Yahoo back in the day for when it was like really new because it was about being excited and getting on the internet. That was his play. Plus, there was this whole yodel thing that happened when you got to their site. So there was all that. And then the email had the yodeling thing going on. So again, making sure that the name conveys what your brand is going to be about. Okay. You do also want to check for trademarks. So that's going to be my item number 6, is that check for trademarking of those names. Make sure that no one else has trademarked it in such a way that you could be infringing on them. That's going to be problematic. Sometimes we don't even know that that name already exists somewhere. You thought it was some trendy name. It was something you just came up with. But when you did your research, like you're supposed to, then you'll find out quickly that that name may be a trademark name and you cannot use it. Or it may be trademarked, in some cases, maybe for its locality. So just double. That's why researching is really, really important. Okay. Of course, you can also check to make sure the name is available at the end of the day. So you want to check not only with trademark, but check with your state state of commerce, your secretary of commerce, or economics, whatever they call themselves, and just check the listing for business. If you can look up the business name and the name comes up, well, then you know somebody already registered that business name, so that's a problem. And usually, they're not even going to allow you to apply when it goes to the application process. So there's another thing. So again, check for trademarks as well as check your state. For those who are listening that are in the US or Canada and your provinces, but make sure that the name doesn't already exist. So you want to make sure that before you put anything to paper, put a logo to anything. So this also means when we're at this stage, don't get bought into a logo or anything like that, because typically you wouldn't have even had a logo already if you haven't gone through this process, because words matter and they need to actually connect with whatever image icon that you want to tie to the business that you are creating for yourselves. So that's another thing. Okay, that was 7, I think. Again, assess if the name is catchy, meaning that it may be obvious to you, but it's going to be obvious to other people. So you want to like ask your friends and ask your family, like when they hear this name, like what resonates? Like, is it catchy enough? Do they get it? Did you have to explain it? If because once you have to explain a name to something, that's already a problem. That's like too much effort, right? So you want to make sure that again, the name, brand, the company that you're calling yourselves has enough substance, and again, kind of lands well on the ear. Just as much as it's easy for me to say, it should be easy for me to hear and understand and convey that it's not going to get hard for it to go out there, right? It's not going to be hard. And to that target audience, again, that you're going to be talking to. So it's got to be something that's repeatable at the same time. So that means number 9, get feedback on the name. Toss it out there. Come up with at least 5 or 10 different names. Okay, that's right. 5 or 10 different names. Okay, different versions. And then try them out with your friends, your family, some trusted colleagues. And I say trusted colleagues because sometimes people who you think you trust, and they're going to give you the advice that because out of jealousy, they may just say, "Yeah, that's an ugly name." Is it really ugly, or is it you just being ugly? I don't know. So trusted friends and colleagues. That's what I like to put it. Get the feedback from them. Like you can give them those 5 names, put it in a little survey. You can use Google Forms and was like, hey, I'm working on my business name. Here's what my business is about. And then here are the list of names I'm thinking about. If you were to rate them from a scale of 1 to whatever, like which ones, like give me your top 3 that resonate with you, something along those lines. So be intentional about it. Come up with the process, get some insight with people, just because you just don't want to be so close to the idea and get too married to something only to get very similar reactions from people who don't even know each other. So that's why you want to have a good mix of people to kind of really see, is it going to be a name that's going to work for you? Feedback is important. Okay. Now, again, on the sounds, make sure you say it out loud when you say it. Just not to yourself, but again, the ear, it makes sense. Here's some places, I'm going to put some places for you where you can actually get business name generators. There's some websites out there that will help you to generate business names. So let me pop over here to my page, and I'm going to give you a couple of websites to go to. And hold on one sec. Did it pop away? I think I covered those are right. Yeah. So here's so number 10, use resources available for brainstorming. Okay. Because again, if you can't think of it yourself, that's okay. That's why they have websites like this. So one is called Name Mesh. I'm gonna just copy this right here, and I'm gonna pop it over here. Okay. So here's one. One is called Name Mesh. So you can go to namemesh.com, and over there, they can provide, like I said, it's a kind of a name generator. Another one allows you to generate your name based on a theme, which I think is kind of fun. So we'll visit that one as well. So let me just copy them up here, and then we'll go visit them together. Here's Namium. This is another one. And I think the other one I had for you guys. Of course, you can use an expert, but why pay for something when you can get it for free? Shopify actually has a great tool as well. So I'm going to pop this one up there so you guys can have that. All right. So here are a couple of tools. Again, get your 5 or 10 different name versions, let them float, marinate in your head. Give it a chance. You never know. You were like, I would have never thought of that name, but it could be the name for your business. All righty. And let me see, didn't have anything else. All right, so let's check out these particular websites. So we'll go over. I'm going to pull this one up first. Let's pull the last one. Let's check out the Shopify one, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys. All right, so here we go. Share my screen. And la 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 la. Shopify. There we go. All right. So here is Shopify's website. So you don't have to have a Shopify account to use it, which is nice, right? So here we go. So here in the business name generator, you can create a business name and then claim the domain at the same time. So there's a little bonus in there for you. So here you just type in describe your brand in like one word and then enter it into the shop generator, and let's see what comes out, right? So for instance, let's see, I'm going to put in the word, let's see, what will my one word brand be? I'm going to say, I'm going to say webinar, just to see how this works out. I'm going to type in the word webinars, and I'm going to hit generate names. And then you can find 100 business names that contain the word webinar in it. So this is very broad, right? But again, gives you some food for thought, right? There's Webinar Voice or Boom Webinars or Ocean Webinars. So there's a whole bunch, like 100 different ones that you can pull from, right? If you are a barbecue truck, I can put in barbecue. And now I've got all these different ones. All right. America's Best Barbecue, Mile High Barbecue. Um, so again, depending on your brand, I'm going to try 2 words and see how that comes out. And I'm just going to call it Tall Tales. I'm a writer. Let's see what comes up with fiction, right? These are really, really broad. I mean, like they're all over the map. So, an interesting tool, no less. Someplace to go. You never know. Okay, let's go. So I'm going to stop that one. All right, here's the next. So the other one that we had, let's see here. Let's go to Name Mesh and see what that one does for us. Being a little slow. Okay, give us 1 second and we're going to see if we can pull it up. If not, I'm going to go to my next one. Sometimes the websites may not be as not. Okay. Yeah, it's not being nice. Let's go to Namium. Okay. Oh, Namium's not coming up anymore. Okay, hold on. Alrighty. What you call worked and okay, businessnamegenerator.com. So we'll try that one. All right, and I'm going to pull it up on my screen here. So we'll share it and see what this one takes us. So again, generate thousands of different unique names for your business. So here again, enter in a key phrase or a key word, so a couple of words. So this one I want to call it business and coaching and generate and see what comes up. So these are better. It's like coaching indicator. There's coaching convert. There's business partners. There's Biznomadic. There's coaching flash. There's coaching surge. So again, nice combinations, right? So this could have lots of possibilities that you could start from, right? Coaching epic or epic coaching. So lots of different ideas that you can pull just from here alone. So just give yourself the time to put some thought into what that could look like for you. Oh, this is interesting. How did that come up? I don't know. Stop sharing. Did that one come up? Let me just come back. Sorry. Share. Okay, there we go. Making sure. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah. So again, business generator, quite a few very unique types of names here. And then you can even filter it. So here's by industry. This is corporate. You could say, I want to, pull it out just maybe for education purposes. This is marketing. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Maybe I want to do more that's podcast related and apply it, take them all out. So you can use this for a couple of different ways and varieties. Again, just getting some cool names to kind of start swirling in your head. So those are my 10. Use the resources. Make sure it's good on the eyes as it is on the ears, as it is something that you're going to be able to marry to, that's going to stand the length of time. If it has a locale, if so, how beneficial is it for you to incorporate a location into it or not? Those are certain things, like I said, and again, don't try to get too snazzy. Do your research and make sure that it's not going to kind of hem you up. Don't pick a name that's going to limit your business growth either. So don't go too way out, but don't go so far close that it's going to pigeonhole you. Think about this way. If Jeff Bezos had picked the name Online Books instead of Amazon, where would he be? Because online books means really limited, and people go there and say, well, they sell his books, right? Whereas Amazon was had lots of different meaning, right? And you could put meaning behind that type of a word. We know Amazon is large as a physical geographic entity, right? And so that is what allowed he grew into that name essentially. And so that's something to think about. Again, when you go to like locales, if you say wedding dresses of San Francisco, well, then people only think that you got wedding dresses in San Francisco and you only are in San Francisco. And if you wanted to open up a branch in multiple cities, well, then that becomes a problem because then you have to start a whole nother business enterprise and branding and LLC and everything else versus having multiple locations. There's a difference. So again, just pay attention, give it some thought, and have some fun at the same time because it is about starting a business should be about passion as well as it could be about fun. Okay, those, my friends, are some of the things that you need to consider when it comes to starting your business. And you want to do that with some thought. If you have some other ideas that will be helpful to the other viewers and listeners inside of the Busy 9 to 5 side, please put your information down here in the comments. I've shared all of the different links inside of the comments as well. So do know that. And until next time, this is Dr. Yam, your Keep It Simple coach, and this is Wisdom Wednesday. Let's get busy. Bye.